Hello and welcome to this overnight taste challenge. We have two Canadian blended whiskeys with no age statement, both 40% alcohol. Canadian Limited. Introduced in 1972. There's a beaver chewing on a branch of wood. There are two lions wearing crowns holding up a shield with fleur de lis. Those symbols represent the French nation, and two crowns representing King Charles III and the Queen consort, the Queen by marriage, not by bloodline. Okay, but anyway, those royal protocols. All right, now Canadian Canadian. It says it like five times. All right. This handle was given to me by Sandra. Thank you, Sandra, for giving me this nearly full bottle. It's 95% full. She said she wasn't going to ever drink it, and would I like it? I said definitely. $15.99 is the current price for this big bottle. $15.99. It's not glass, it's plastic. Nothing says quality like the thud of plastic. You got to admit that. Now, the competitor, introduced in 1991, 19 years after this one, Crown Royal Reserve, also Special Reserve. The website says Reserve, but I'll show you why I said also Special Reserve. Gold leather feeling. I don't think it's really leather, but gold leather style bag with purple crown. Fancy Pants Crown Royal Reserve bottle. And price point about $45 per bottle is what I paid at Walmart. Now Mathern's has this on sale this week for this month. I think they run their sales like those special liquor sales, like month by month. Come on, focus. It's $42.99 over there right now. Now, Total Wine and More has it for $39.99, but then you can never find it. They never have it in stock. It's like we have it theoretically, so you could wait for their sale and never buy it, or actually go buy it from somebody that has it in stock. If this thing would focus, I'd be a happy guy. Liam Gillespie says, morning, Jay, had eggs with chopped onions, coffee, and a shot of Jim Beam for breakfast. I don't know if that's a good idea. I had coffee, 3 cups. I need to try to down Royal with coffee. Oh, you mean Crown Royal with coffee? Yeah, it might. Finally focus. Well, what do you know? So nice glass, CR on it, Crown Royal CR. All right. So introduced by the Seagram's Company in 1991, but now owned by Diageo since 2000, when Seagram's went kaplooey, as we say in elegant language, kaplooey. That's, you say that when you're trying to appear dignified, educated. Educated people say kaplooey. I poured too much. Gotta remove the built-in pourer. I know it's a big bottle, but I'm not trying to waste it. There. That should work just fine. Just fine. Yeah, that's a proper amount. I have a tendency to over pour, and the reason is because these type of bottles lend themselves to that. I mean, this cap, it makes it the airflow properly, and it just comes gushing out. There's no glug glug glug. It just pour out in an even stream. Can I do a side by side of Jim Beam and Crown Royal? No, I cannot. I mean, I could do anything, but no, I will not do that because that's cross styling. I don't cross style up. That would be straight bourbon with Canadian blended, and I don't do straight against blended. Sorry. Because then you start to lose the plot. It's like, what's the point of it? You know, it starts to break down the meaning of it. Okay. It's like doing an IPA with a stout. I mean, yeah, you could compare and contrast them. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, but you could do it. But I wouldn't dream of it. Here's the cap. And as you can see, it says Crown Royal. If I can get it to focus, Crown Royal Special Reserve. So the bottle cap is showing the old name. There it comes into focus. Crown Royal Special Reserve. So that's why I got that in parentheses. It's like the name and the other name, the full name. Okay. What are your thoughts on cold brew coffee? I don't drink it. I don't look to drink it. I've tried some of the cold brew coffee beers like Pabst cold brew coffee and the Guinness. They were fine. But if I didn't, I just don't make an effort to drink cold brew coffee. You have a point that wouldn't make much sense. Haha. Yeah. Well, yeah. So I've seen people do videos like that where they'll be like, I'm going to do this double IPA against Coors Light. Well, it's nice. And then they'll in the video they'll say, "Oh, this Coors Light is a lot different than this double IPA at 9%." I'm like, yeah. Gunsmoke was a lot different than Seinfeld, but they're both television series. But then that brings us to the point of dogging on a score, you know, doing a bad score because you don't like the product. That doesn't make sense. I've seen people many times say, oh, here's Seattle Mariners, by the way. Games there. I've seen people do videos and they'll say, I'm going to give this IPA a C minus. Like they're giving Torpedo Extra IPA a C minus. And their reasoning is, I don't like bitter products. It doesn't appeal to me. You know, they'll say it doesn't appeal to me. It's not for me. They'll say that it's not for me. It's just not for me. Okay, well, it doesn't make it a C minus. It doesn't make it low average because you don't happen to like it. Because you said at the beginning of the video you don't like bitter beers and you don't like IPAs. And you can barely drink them. And they'll even say, I'm going to dump it out. I can't finish it. Well, I don't like Western movies or television shows, you know, where they have the guys with the hats and the vests and the boots and the spurs and they have all these little stories. I don't like it. Okay. I don't like it. I just don't like it. But I'm not going to sit there and pass judgment on the movies and the shows because I don't like it. My father loves it. That's about all he watches. Either he's watching something about aliens, and I really don't like that, but he's watching that, or he's watching the Western channel. Well, it's fine. If he likes it, it's no knock on me or on him. but I'm not going to sit there and judge them because I don't like it. I have no interest in watching it. All right. So we get that. We get that. There's a scene in Easy Rider from 1969 with Jack Nicholson and Peter Fonda sipping on Jim. Also, a pap sign is visible in the background as well. I don't remember that, but I wasn't really, paying attention to what they were sipping on. But it makes sense, plausible. Louisiana, Natchitoches, Louisiana, Jim Beam. That would have been in play in 1969. The rest of the movie doesn't make much sense, but then, well, I don't consider it a very good movie at all. Rio Bravo is one of the greatest westerns ever. See, now I cannot even comment on that because of what I said earlier. All right. El Rio Bravo del Norte, the brave river of the north, as we call it, the Rio Grande, which I've been to that river many times, and I've crossed the river many times. I've never gone into the river. Maybe I should. A lot of other people do. They don't seem to get into trouble. It's an international border, but I might have to do that. I saw a guy catching whatever he was catching with cast nets. He was down there in the river in these boots, throwing the net and pulling it in. I don't know what he was catching. It was further up the river, before you get to the big towns, probably cleaner water. I wouldn't be doing that in Matamoros by any stretch of the imagination. And you go to the river, boy, by where the Pecos River comes into it, where they come together. And boy, it's really isolated out there. Big canyon, Pecos River Canyon. Got trails all down there. I like to go back. Flaming Star from 1960, starring Elvis Presley, was actually enjoyable. Right. I've heard about it. But didn't it kind of fail as far it was like the least successful movie? I mean, it still made a profit, but because he didn't do any singing in it. And so wasn't that the thing where they were like, the movie company was like, MGM, I think MGM said, oh, no more of that because people want singing and dancing. And he got very discouraged because he was like, this is not all I want to do in movies. And he had a beard, but I mean, yeah, you get typecast and it's hard to break out of it. Like the guy that played Luke Skywalker, he just never could get a career going. Harrison Ford didn't have a problem, but then he always played the same character. I guess he was typecast basically in movies. What was that 1982 movie with Daryl Hannah? Blade Runner. And then Mel Gibson made The Year of Living Dangerously. That was a good one. I never watched the whole movie. I always fall asleep or I get tired of looking at it. But it seemed like it was well made. King Creole was filmed in New Orleans, I believe the best Elvis movie, in my opinion, says Liam Gillespie. It was filmed in New Orleans, in the French Quarter, and my mother liked it because, it was in the French Quarter. This has got to be the Crown Royal because it's got a deeper, richer aroma. Deeper and richer. Plus, it's plenty darker. I'm going to have to remix them because looking at the color, it's like there's no way that's Canadian Limited. No. So Canadian Limited is rather light. Are they adding color into it? Maybe a little bit of caramel, but it ain't much. Gold. Now, the Crown Royal Special Reserve Special Reserve, look, it's a lot darker, more like brown. we want to say copper, right? You're not supposed to say brown. All right. So let's try it again. It's not going to be a contest, though. I don't even know why I'm worried about it because there's no way Canadian Limited has a chance against Crown Royal Reserve. It's the top 1%. They say on the website it's even less than the top 1% of the best Crown Royal barrels. Okay, so they're not saying they're picking the top 1%. The website's claiming they pick less than the top 1%. So almost none of the Crown Royals qualify to be the Crown Royal Special Reserve. They're not special enough. We assume they're talking about the standard Crown Royal. We're not talking about XO finishing cognac barrels. We're not talking about Northern wheat. Those are variants. That wheat, special wheat version, Crown Royal wheat. Not talking about the Crown Royal Northern Harvest Rye, which is 95% rye whiskey. Okay, you got to use some intelligence in this thing. Some people seem resistant to that process, using intelligence, but we try to encourage it. This has got to be the Special Reserve. I'm telling you, its aroma is unmistakable. Let's go with the taste for what that's worth. All right, same old thing. Clearly a Sazerac product. Now you say, oh, but you said Fleischmann Distilling. I did say Fleischmann Distilling, which is owned by Sazerac. All right. Didn't this say bottled in Canada, Kentucky, and California? No, Owensboro, Kentucky. Canadian whiskey with natural flavors. Should have put that in there, the description. Oh, yeah, but some of them say California and Kentucky. So I guess Sazerac has a bottling plant in California. Either that or they pay to use somebody else's, you know what I'm saying, contract bottling. I tried Canadian Club 1858 a while back, a bit too sweet. You might find that to be the case on Canadian Limited in that case then. PPNNP. Hello from Reunion Island, J. I left a small comment about the Gewürz white wine. Oh, okay. I'm going to read it later. That was a pretty good wine. I never had a wine like that. Well, that name. I had ones that tasted like it. Reunion Island, a French department, overseas department. It's part of France, but it's in the Indian Ocean, just like Hawaii is the Hawaiian Islands in the Pacific Ocean, but they're a U.S. state. Whiskey soaked wood. That's what this tastes like. Whiskey saturated wood. You say, what does that mean? Yeah, wood saturated with whiskey, like it's been in a barrel a long time. It's not charred oak, so don't. If you're thinking along the lines of bourbon with the charred oak, no, get that out of your mind. That's not going to be in play here. Just think of wood, just regular old oak, white oak, and it's saturated, like you could wring it out and whiskey will come out of it. Is Rolling Rock better than Pabst? Well, that depends on who you're asking. Some people would say yes, some people would say no, and some people would say no because it's a tie. So I cannot answer that question. They're comparable. Yeah. So this one is better. It's corn, popcorn, oak, not charred, maybe some rye spice, and a deepness to it. AKA, also known as Stanley Wayne Roll. Stanley Wayne Roll. Morning, Jay. Cheers, says Olive Fire. Good morning to you and all of you, Olive Fire, Stanley, or everyone. is welcome to join Alcohol Legs on Facebook. Alcohol Legs is a group. It's laid back, it's not high intensity. So if you say, "Oh, I love those groups because I could get into all kind of drama," yeah, there ain't no drama on that group. It's just like people talking about beer, wine, and liquor. So if you need intensities in 10 cities, you're going to find that group pretty lame because it's just everybody just having a good time talking about the product and saying, "Well, how'd you score that? Oh, yeah, I had that before. Oh, it's really good." Stuff like that. Oh, yeah, I remember those old commercials, so forth. If you say, "I got an axe to grind," I'm drunk. Well, you're just not going to like it because it's not going to be. But they have other groups that are into all of that. Um, Drama groups. Anyway, almonds, or is it walnut oil, or is it pecan oil? It's something like that. You say, yeah, it's probably tasting that way because they're using cream sherry or tawny port. I don't think they use tawny port, but you can flavor Canadian whiskey with wine. But it's something unusual. You say vanilla. They're using vanilla extract. I don't know if that's allowed in Canadian whiskey. Honestly, I don't. I don't think it is, but I don't actually know. All I know is the bottle says Canadian whiskey with natural flavors. Now the question here, and it's a very important question, and I don't know the answer. Are they taking Canadian whiskey, bringing it to? Here's a question in my mind: are they taking Canadian whiskey, shipping it to Kentucky, and adding natural flavoring in Kentucky? You say, wait a minute, I hadn't thought of that. I hadn't thought of it either until later on. So it's Canadian whiskey, all right? It's from Canada. You say, duh, yeah, we get that part. Right. I get it too. They're shipping it in some container, probably on a train container, those liquid things, container cars. And I don't think they're shipping it in individual barrels. I really don't believe that. And then they're bottling it in Kentucky. That we understand. It says it on the bottle. Bottled in Kentucky. That we get. We get that. The question here, and if anyone has any input, I'd be very, very curious. Here's the pertinent question: are they taking that Canadian whiskey, bringing it to Kentucky, and adding the flavoring in the Kentucky distillery? Yes, no, you don't know. Now, if you say you know, if you say, "Oh, I know," okay, fine. But what we need to know is, how do you know? Okay, so don't say, "I got a cousin who works there." Okay, who is your cousin? Oh, I can't say. What does he do there? Oh, I'm not at liberty to discuss that. Okay, well, then don't bring it up. All right. I asked the guy yesterday on Alcoholics, how do you know it's blended? He didn't get offended because it was an honest question. How do you know it's blended? He gave me the source material from the tequila company website, and they talk about how they blend different tequilas. Okay, fine. I said, good. That's a primary source. And I was praising him. Okay. Now you're going to, now some people might say, oh no. Liam says, I still have an unopened bottle of Jack Daniels from 1972. I need to open. Do you need to open it, or do you want to open it? You need to open it if you're planning to taste it, but do you actually need to open it? So that's interesting that you have a 51-year-old unopened bottle. I know one thing. I know it's 90 proof. This tastes good. It's a good, so you say, does Canadian Limited taste good? To me, it has a good flavor. It's that weird vanilla in the corn, liquor, and maybe a little rye, whiskey, even wheat. You say, what about single malt barley whiskey? Malt whiskey. Yeah, I don't know about the malt whiskey. Doesn't seem to have that breadiness. Special Reserve, also known as Reserve. What they call it now, Reserve. Crown Royal Reserve. Says it on the box. Says it on the bottle. There's only one little problem. On the cap, the bottle cap, it says Special Reserve. So have they retained the old name concurrently with the new name since 2008? It's possible. Mm. A nicer product. It has a good taste, but it's a much better taste. It's deeper, it's richer, it's more developed. Question: Would I pay? Would I rather go to Walmart and buy Canadian Limited for $7.92? I think they raised the price recently to $8.99, but it was $7.92 like for the longest time. I'm not kidding about that. It's like the price would never change. It was always $7.92, like for 10 years. But I think they finally raised the price to catch up with the declining value of the dollar, also known as inflation. Who causes inflation? The United States government causes inflation. They're the only ones who do it. Okay, that's the only people you can blame. You say, I'm gonna blame big business. You can blame big business, but they have nothing to do with it. Okay, it's like me blaming the moon because my cheese got moldy. All right, that would make me a lunatic. The question is, well, I'll tell you what, let's look up Walmart's website. They're very accurate, or largely accurate. Walmart.com. They'll even tell you what aisle it's on. So this Total Wine and tell you how much it is. Okay, if it's not in stock, it'll say not in stock. And sometimes they'll say expected to arrive. It'll even give you the date. It's very convenient. Canadian LTD. Some people call it Canadian LTD, but that's an abbreviation. It means Canadian Limited. Well, there you go. They're showing Canadian Club, but that's clearly a mistake because Canadian Club is not Canadian Limited. So, and there ain't no way Canadian Club is going to be a handle for $14.98. No, 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 no. In any case, they don't sell it in my town, so why even look at it? But that's a mistake. Even big companies like Walmart make mistakes. All right. It says pick up today. 1/2 mile away at my local Walmart. Pick up today. Or I can have it delivered. Yeah, right. Like I'm gonna have it delivered. I'm gonna pay money to have it delivered, even though I can drive a 1/2 mile to go buy it. I can walk there. Don't think that's gonna. Oh, okay. I was wrong. It's not $8.99. $7.98 went up 6 cents. In 10 years, the price has gone up 6 cents. It's on the shelf. Pick up today at Walmart, aisle Z13, aisle Z13 in the big area called adult beverages. Yeah, Walmart here sells liquor. Yep. They're showing 2 different photos, but of the same liquor. Obviously, 2 different Sazerac photos. I don't know why they're showing 2 different photos of the same product and the same aspect. It's like it's not the front and the back. It's just the front and another picture of the front. And I think all those photos are taken at the same location. You say, where is that? I think it's at Republic National in Jefferson, Louisiana. Well, it used to be, they had a fallout with Republic National. And they broke away from them and they became, well, they're in lawsuit against each other. But you see, Sazerac used to own Republic National. But the U.S. government said you can't own, a distillery cannot own a distributorship. So they had to sell it. Land of the free. You can't be free to own it. So, and now there's a big fallout. Now I think it's the same family, like they're related to William Goldring, but it's some kind of controversy. Families fight. Okay. Let's see what it says about Canadian Limited. Canadian Limited is overseen by Drew Mayville, Sazerac's master blender. Yes, he is the master blender in Canada, not in the United States. Mayville has over 40 years of Canadian whiskey making experience, with 23 of those at Seagram's, where he was the fourth and final master blender of the Seagram dynasty. This is obviously not coming from Walmart. This write-up is obviously coming from Sazerac. Drew Mayville, he worked for 23 years as Seagram's master blender, but then he jumped to Sazerac. Okay. Canadian Limited is an 80 proof Canadian whiskey that has been aged for 3 years. Oh, there's an age statement. But we can't call that official because it's coming from Walmart's website, even though it's almost certainly coming from a Sazerac sell sheet. They call those sell sheets. It's a PDF file, and they'll load it up to the Walmart, or they'll copy and paste it to the Walmart website. Okay, maybe not a PDF file. All right. Aromas and flavors of maple sugar, vanilla. I said vanilla, and spice, with a dry yet fruity medium body and a warm peppery finish. This whiskey is wonderful for mixing in numerous cocktails. Notice they didn't say it was wonderful for sipping. No. Wonderful for mixing. $7.98. Mind-boggling, really. $8. What's 8 times 5? 40. Okay, let's look at the comments, then we're going to roll on to the final assessment. Oh, that's it. No more new comments. Okay. 8 times 5 is 40. Do I really want to pay $45 for this? It's good. It's better. I agree. It's a better product. Okay, we get it. But is it 5 times better? I'm not seeing that. Would I would make the trade-off? So if it's me, which in this case it is me, because I only speak for myself, right? You speak for you, I speak for me. Would I really pay? Would I rather buy 1 bottle of Crown Royal Reserve, or would I rather buy 5 standard bottles? This is not a standard bottle, this is a big bottle. Would I rather buy 5 standard bottles of Canadian Limited? I have to admit to you now, I would rather buy the 5 bottles of Canadian Limited. You say, why? Because then I have 5 bottles. What would you rather drink, 5 or 1? You say, well, it depends what it is. I get that part. But the point about it is the Canadian Limited does not taste bad. Is it wonderful? I don't know about wonderful. Is it okay? Yeah, it's okay. Is it nice? It's nice in some ways. Is it enjoyable? Yeah. Neat at room temperature? Yeah, it's kind of enjoyable. Would it be better as a mixer? Well, that's what they're recommending. Certainly not nasty, off-putting, and gross, or disgusting, or anything like that. You say it's bottom shelf. Yeah, I know that because I've got it all on the bottom shelf. But I can get 5, not 4, not 3, not 2, 5 bottles. I can get 5 bottles of Canadian Limited for every 1 bottle of Crown Royal Reserve. Now, if I buy 4 bottles of Crown Royal Reserve, I can buy 20 bottles of Canadian Limited. See, the process keeps growing. So I'm going to have to say that with all things considered, I'm gonna team up with Crown Royal Limited. I'm going mad. Canadian Limited. You say because William Goldring lives less than 30 miles from you. He could live next door to me. It would have no bearing on this. I'm telling you, I think it's a better trade. It's a trade-off. It is a trade-off. You're going to sacrifice some quality, but there's a whole conceptual thing that you need to look at called trade-offs. A lot of people don't use that in their lives. They run into trouble because they haven't considered the trade-offs. And that can be applied to anything, marriage and so forth. Buying a house, getting a job. Okay. back to the earlier point, and then we're done. Could it be that they're taking regular Canadian whiskey, bringing it to Kentucky, and adding flavoring at the blending point? Yes. Now, at that point, it probably would not be technically Canadian whiskey anymore. It would be DSS, distilled spirit specialty. I'm going to keep my eyes open, and I'm going to be looking around in these stores because a lot of these stores have the cases hanging around, like the boxes. They'll keep them so that, like, people buy a bunch of wine or liquor, they can put it in the box and bring it to their car. So I'm going to look at that, and it'll always say it on the side. It won't say Canadian whiskey. It'll say it might say Canadian DSS or just DSS, distilled spirit specialty. That means technically it's not a Canadian whiskey anymore. It's a Canadian whiskey with natural flavors added. A distilled spirit. You say, well, that's the same thing. It's Canadian whiskey and they added flavor. Right, but it's not Canadian whiskey. It's distilled spirit specialty. You say, well, that's a purely ridiculous, legalistic approach to the evaluation of the product. That's true. But the United States government takes a very detailed and technical approach to these products. Very specific, very specific. You cannot add flavor into bourbon. Absolutely illegal in every way. But you can add flavor into bourbon and sell it on the shelf. Now, I just said it was illegal in every way. How can you add flavor into bourbon? Because then it's not a bourbon. It's a bourbon with natural flavoring. You say, but that's fooling no one. Oh, I didn't say it was fooling anyone. It's a legal loophole. It's a loophole. It's an end around. It's a way of getting around the rule. So there's rules, and then there are the rules that obfuscate the rule. See, it's like beer. You know, for a long time, you could never, ever, absolutely ever sell a beer above 5% alcohol in the United States. No way that would ever be allowed. Now you say, well, I got a can of Old English from 1961, Ruff's Old English stout malt liquor that my uncle gave me, and it says very clearly that it's 9% alcohol. That's right. You won't see the word beer on the label anywhere, will you? No, it says stout malt liquor. You say, yeah, but a malt liquor is a beer. Right. You see where we're getting at here? You see what we're doing here? You can't do these things unless you want to do these things, and that's the whole legal construct that we're trying to get our minds around. All right, so don't get too caught up in what you can't do. You need to get caught up in what you can do in a practical sense, not in a strict legal sense, but in a practical sense. You know, it's the whole that whole circular argument, the serpent eating its tail, because you could say, oh, no, Jack Daniels is a Tennessee whiskey. It's not a bourbon. It's not a bourbon. Okay, but it is a bourbon. All right, but anyway, all right. Y'all take care now.